As is pretty typical of pretty much every Mario game since the dawn of time, you'll eventually have to go through a fire stage. Normally, the fire stages are in the endgame, or at least be tied to Bowser. But in the case of Lethal Lava Land, nope, it's just a regular stage front and center when you enter the narrow corridors of the basement of Peach's castle. I always liked the painting they used for the stage too. They could have stuck with a Podoboo or any of the dozens of bullies that we are going to run into in this stage, but no, they went for the lava lantern Halloween-esque look. It's super eerie and actually kind of hilarious how it has nothing to do with both with the stage nor with Mario in general. Like, this isn't a bad guy in the stage, nor does it ever appear again. But anyway, new to Mario in Mario 64 is the damage that you take when you touch the fire. In the 2D games, touching the fire was the equivalent of falling into a bottomless pit and meant instant death. But in the wonderful world of 3D Mario, it's a loss of health and if you're lucky, a quick bounce back to solid ground. As players get better, they can take advantage of the way Mario interacts with the fire and find a way to skip through certain areas or to avoid going through enemies or platforming challenges and just take the hit on the health to advance. Sort of like damage boosting, or so to speak. It's a fun bit of gimmicky physics you could screw around with and treat as part of Mario's moveset, but really the intention was that it would be a way to punish the player without fully forcing them to start over. This is because Lethal Lava Land is a wide and vast ocean of fire. There's more fire than walkable land in this stage. So if the lava was to get you instant death, it would be way too difficult to expect a player to succeed without losing their mind. Due to the nature of this course, the layout is actually very straightforward. It's all floating platforms on a generally flat land that you can platform across, while occasionally hearing Mario do his laugh-sounding scream because it burnt his buttocks. It's also an extremely straightforward level due to the simplicity. And I would say if you're comfortably able to control Mario, it's probably one of the quickest levels you'll run through in this game, minus the forced slowdown times in the last 2 stars, and I'll get there shortly. The first star is easy enough. It's titled Boil the Big Bully. Carefully traverse your way to the back of the map and you'll run into a big cannonball looking enemy known as a bully. You'll pass by a few smaller bullies on the way there, and basically these guys will beeline it towards you and it'll put you in a bit of a sumo wrestling match where you'll have to punch and kick them until they fall into the fire. The one at the back of the map will just be a bigger bully, so they can hit harder and just take a little bit more to push off. But if you persevere long enough, you'll knock him down into the fire and be able to collect the first star. The second star is the same idea, titled Bully the Bullies, only this time you'll have to defeat the little bullies first to summon the big bully. The platform is also at the back of the map, but the stage is small enough where I don't think this is really that big of an issue because there are multiple routes to get back there. So I think it's a good chance for a player to experiment with the routes and realistically end up near the platform again. The fight is redundant, but it's redundant in the same way the Boo fights were redundant in Haunted Mansion, where the fight is just the final objective, but the actual value and the challenge of the stage is being able to maneuver around without dying in the fire and making it to these platforms. The third star is the 8 red coin star titled 8 coin puzzle with 15 pieces. It'll probably be the easiest to spot, but there's one of those sliding puzzles with Bowser on it that has 15 pieces. All of the red coins are on there, and even if you fall into the fire once or twice, there should be no challenge here to collect the red coins and grab the star. It's very easy. Red Hot Log is probably the hardest challenge in that there's an area hidden away in the corner of the map that you either have to take a long moving platform towards, or if you figure out where the green shell is, you can surf the fire to get there. Or heck, you can even take a flying cap if you figure out where that is too. Either way, you make your way there to the general vicinity and have to balance upon a rolling log to make it towards the platform and pick up the star. This is the most challenging star, and might seem intimidating to grab at first, but it's a very easy to grab once you understand how to get around the stage. Stars 5 and 6 both take place inside the volcano in the center of the map, titled Hot-Foot It into the Volcano and Inside the Volcano respectively. There are 2 routes in the volcano. One is to the right and one is to the left. As you can imagine, each route leads to a single star. The one on the left puts you through platforming challenges where you have to dodge enemies and fire. The one on the right is mostly about patience because you're riding an elevator and figuring out when to jump from platform to platform. It's almost like an auto-scroller. Each path offers a different type of challenge, but because both of which are fairly easy to get through, at the end of each path you're better off being sent back to the beginning of the stage because it's a dead end. So although it may seem like the stage is unforgiving by kicking you out, it's probably in your benefit because you'll want to start at the beginning of the volcano, which again is easier to run into from the starting point. Plus, if you die while in the volcano, the game will automatically start you over from inside the volcano, which is a nice bonus. But I don't think that's that big of a deal because entering the volcano is pretty easy and takes very little time. But like I said, the map and layout and challenges here are all pretty simple. It's just on you to get used to all of the physics of the different platforms you're standing on. For the most part, the longer you stand on something, the more it'll push towards the fire. This is kind of a beginner's trap in that if you're new to this, it could feel very intimidating, but it should take you no time at all to figure out how to get around. And because it's just a big grid, there are a few different routes that I don't even know how beneficial it is to not be sent back to the start before every star. The red coins, for example, are to the left of the starting point. The log star is all the way on the right and closer to the starting point. The two in the volcano end at different areas, so you're better off starting again from the foot of the volcano and taking the other route rather than trying to do some crazy long jump leap of faith to nab them, both from the top of the volcano. Maybe the two bully fights can be considered redundant, but I think their location is fine because those are realistically the only two stars you'll not immediately know where to go, and they're just far enough where two separate routes can be taken to reach each one of them and give the player a chance to learn the course. And like I said, this is a very easy and very flat stage, so even if there was a waste of time of being sent back to the beginning of the stage, I don't think realistically it's all that obnoxious because once you're able to maneuver around the fire, which will realistically happen pretty quickly, you'll be able to get through this level with ease fairly soon, with maybe only the 2 stars in the volcano giving any semblance of a true challenge. So I think I'm going to say in total we're still at 10 stars out of the 49 so far that feel like you're worse off by being sent back to the start of the stage. But thankfully the challenge in the stage is in the coin collection, and I think this is one of the most enjoyably difficult coin collecting stars in the game. While traversing through the fire can be somewhat tense if you're going for a star, that tension gets kicked up a ton if a loss of a life means you'll have to start over. You'll need to surf all around the stage to collect as many stars as you can, which is all fun and good until you bump into a wall because you missed the slope from how fast you were going. A wing cap could help, but because the stage is so flat, it could be detrimental to try and land. Killing all the bullies you can to get the coins from them will absolutely drain you since they take so much time and have minimal reward. Plus, they'll probably make you drop into the fire once or twice, which will just make things all the more tense and lead you to potentially having to start over. And even if you're able to collect every coin, defeat every bully, spare every hit of health, and survive, you're going to have to head inside the volcano as well and continue to reach your 100 coin target, which will just add more risks of losing your life and having to start the count over, which means you'll have to give yourself a game over so that you can go back out of the stage to start over and redo everything outside of the volcano again. I think there are still 3 or 4 stages more difficult than this one when it comes to the coin collection. Hazy Maze Cave is one of them. But this is the only one of the stages where everything else here genuinely feels like very level 1 stuff. Again, dying by getting burnt while going for any of the stars is hardly punishment because it's a pretty easy map to make up that time and distance lost on repeated life. You might even get a game over, but it doesn't really matter because when you get back in there, you'll just have to patiently jump through the small platforms to collect the stars. And even if a bully knocks you down into the fire, you can get back into it and knock them into the fire to collect the star. This stage is somewhat of a noob trap. The first time in there, you can see all the fire and it can feel very intimidating. But once you learn how to control Mario on the varying platforms and avoid touching the lava, or better yet, once you know how to manipulate Mario's reaction to actually touching the lava, this becomes one of the easiest stages to overcome. But all of that advantage goes out of the window when a simple screw-up can mean having to restart a coin collection. It's an interesting dynamic because the swing of difficulty from collecting stars to collecting coins is probably larger than any other stage in this game, and that alone makes the stage pretty unique. But anyway, I'll always remember this stage as the first time I heard Mario scream laugh because his butt was on fire. I'm not sure if anyone else used to refer to it as a laugh, that was probably just my family, but his painful cry always sounded more like a humorous laugh, kind of like when you foolishly hurt yourself and are laughing despite being in so much pain. The grabbing of the butt and flying through the air or maniacally running across the platform was just a bonus. It was just so memorable for us. Oh, and the Bowser puzzle for the red coins is just so out of the place that I can't help but smirk at the thought of one of the game designers casually deciding to implement it. And also, Bowser objectively looks better in the puzzle than his in-game model does. By a long shot. He's actually hideous in this game. But I digress. I think this is my shortest segment thus far, and that probably says more about the stage than anything else I could really say. I like the stage, but it's also one of the easiest ones and probably should have been a level 1 stage rather than something paired next to Hazy Maze Cave and the next basement stage, Shifting Sandland. So let's head over to the desert and discuss that one.